Hi guys, welcome back to Nico Talks Hockey, and welcome back to another edition and volume of Fantasy Player Stock Watch. This is, I believe, the fourth volume of the series of Fantasy Player Stock Watch, and this is the series where I go over, with a fantasy lens for sure. Who's hot right now, who's the hottest in the NHL, who's producing like crazy for as defensemen and goalies, right? Then we go over who's not, who's ice cold right now, who's going through a cold streak, needs to snap out of it. And then we go over three fantasy players to pick up on waivers. So players who have you know, uh, a percentage of owned, in all leagues across, I use ESPN, so I just refer to the ESPN stats. But they're not that owned across the, I don't know, North America or whoever plays fantasy. So the percentage of how many people own them is quite low. So without further ado, I want to get right into it. Again, just a reminder that this is a fantasy video. So some of these players might be doing really well in real life, but in terms of how many points they're getting, managers who have them on their fantasy rosters, it could be really good or it could be bad, right? So let's get into who's hot right now. So I have to start the video off. I have to with Jesper Wallstedt of the Minnesota Wild, goalie for the Minnesota Wild. His stats are as follows. So through 8 games played, has a 2.20 goals against average and a 935 save percentage. That leads the entire NHL. What he's been doing recently, and he just got a shutout on Sunday night. He's against the Winnipeg Jets, no less, a very, very good team. So Wallstedt is he's truly coming into his own now. There were a lot of doubters during the summer and at the end of last season, because he was having some less than good, I believe it was the AHL, right? Not great stats and not great numbers in the AHL, but I didn't falter. I never wavered in my belief that I think Wallstedt will be, when it's all said and done, in his prime. In his prime, he'll be like a top. I'm gonna say top 3 goalie in the entire league. I'm not saying all of history. I'm just saying in his prime, he'll be a top 3 goalie in the league at that time, right? So yeah, I'm just such a big believer in Wallstedt. I was a believer ever since he was drafted. I remember when the Edmonton Oilers passed on him, and that is still looked at today as a big miss because he was right there, and he could have been the goalie right now for the Edmonton Oilers. But I digress. I do want to say really quick. I only usually talk about who the percentage stats of how many people own Wallstedt in fantasy. If it's the people on the waivers usually, but Wallstedt actually is only 36.3% owned across ESPN fantasy leagues, and fantasy teams. So I personally have Jesper Wallstedt, and he just won me my week. So I'm so happy to have him. Pick him up. Go check right now if Wallstedt's available because he's unbelievable. Moving on to another player who's actually on my team, Tage Thompson. I drafted him because he's such a great goal scorer, and he is really living up to that right now. So through 22 games played, he's got 12 goals and 9 assists. He's nearly a point per game. He's truly kind of leading the charge there in Buffalo, which they're not out of it. They're at 500 now. Buffalo's not out of the playoff picture yet. I know that, it's kind of silly to have any belief in the Buffalo Sabres as an organization right now, but if Thompson continues to produce like this, and the Sabres keep on rolling, they beat my Chicago Blackhawks 9-3 the other day. That was really embarrassing to watch. So Tage Thompson, though, if you got him in fantasy like I do, you're probably doing just fine. Another player, again, I do have this player in fantasy. It's Adam Fantilli. Through 22 games played, has 9 goals and 8 assists for 17 points, and they finally are putting him on the number 1 power play unit, and he's cooking. Of course he's cooking. I don't know why he wasn't on the top power play unit before. Any Blue Jackets fans who may be watching, please tell me in the comments what's up with that. But he's finally cooking now. He's getting tons of power play points. So I'm very unlikely that he's available in your league. You can obviously go check. But if you've got him on your team, you're probably really happy with how he's producing because he's getting a ton of those extra power play points. And then lastly, I got 2 more players who's hot. So one of them I do not sadly have on my team, my fantasy team. He is one of my favorite players in real life. It's Jason Robertson. Through 22 games played, has 13 goals, 15 assists for 28 points, over a point per game, well over. He's unbelievable. Him and and Wyatt Johnston are doing unbelievable. Of course, Miko Rantanen is too, but he's suspended now for a game. So, the Stars keep rolling. They're one of the hottest teams in the NHL, and so is Robertson in terms of hottest players in the league right now. Robertson's unbelievable. Great source of assists and goals, pretty much equal. Robertson's awesome. And then lastly, if you've got Scott Wedgwood of the Colorado Avalanche on your fantasy team, you're probably doing really, really well. He was someone who, one of the people in my league, just instantly grabbed him as soon as they found out that Blackwood at the beginning of the year was injured. They just grabbed him like the first day of it was like right after the draft, and I'm sure they've been reaping the rewards, right? Because Wedgwood, through 16 games played, has a 2.23 goals against average and a 913 save percentage on the best team in the league currently. The Avalanche are unbelievable. I think they're like 10-0-0 or 9-0-1 or something in their last 10 games played. It's ridiculous, and he's getting a majority of those minutes, which is so impressive, right? Because Blackwood, he took a lot of time to recover from his injury, and I think they're just they don't want to rush him back into anything, especially because Wedgwood is playing so well. He's even being in talks for the Olympics potentially. So that's how great he's playing, and I'm sure you're loving your life if you've got Scott Wedgwood on your fantasy team. Let's go into who's not right now. I've got 3 names here. This is a player who was on my fantasy team a little while ago. Now I've had to drop him just because he's so cold, and so is the team that he plays for. It's Montreal Canadiens' Jakub Dobeš. Through 11 games played, has 2.88 goals against average, which is really kind of sunk. But then the worst one, this is so surprising to me, he has now a 895 save percentage on the season so far. That is, just how high it was before, like the first 3 weeks of the season to now. It just goes to show you that I think the Montreal Canadiens as a whole, as a team, is coming back down to earth a little bit. I do believe they'll still make the playoffs. I'm not, believing they're going to fall that far, but I think that Dobeš is showing a little bit more of his human side. And right now, I do not suggest picking up Dobeš until the Canadiens and him show some more signs of life and signs of really kind of turning these things around. Moving on to another player that I also dropped because I don't know. Maybe I'll pick him up again if he's still available and he's starting to produce again. But Quinton Byfield of the LA Kings, 22 games played, has 4 goals and 13 assists. It's a lot of assists, but assists aren't the greatest if you're going by ESPN's kind of just generic stats, and it's just like 1 point, right? If it's not a power play assist or anything like that. So it's nothing crazy. It's kind of almost like empty points, so to speak. Nothing real hardy or meaty there. So Byfield, he's a fine player when it maybe like a spot start, but he's not great right now. I would maybe exercise caution. I'm not sold that he's not gonna turn around or anything like that. But I needed the win this week, and I picked up someone who was actually playing. So yeah, I dropped Byfield. Hopefully he turns around. And the last player I want to talk about who's cold right now. This really surprises me. It's JJ Peterka of the Utah Mammoth. Through 22 games played, has 9 goals and 7 assists for 16 points. So 16 points out of 22 games is nothing terrible, but it's just the inconsistency. He can go through stretches of just not really doing anything. He doesn't really have any of those peripheral stats and any of those banger stats, no hits, no blocks really. So it's kind of feast or famine with JJ Peterka. I definitely would hold on to him if I had him on my team. I would definitely exercise patience with him just because he's so good. The Utah Mammoth are also slumping a bit, so maybe once they start going up again, which I do believe they will do, I think they will make playoffs, and they'll stop going through kind of this slide they've been on. But Peterka is part of the slide. He's definitely in a funk right now. But let's go on to the 3 fantasy players that I think you should pick up on waivers right now. Go check if these players are available. So obviously I talked about Wallstedt, right? But I want to talk about Matthias Samuelsson of the Buffalo Sabres. He is only 50.9% owned across fantasy teams. Through 20 games played, has 5 goals and 6 assists. So for a defenseman, that's very impressive. He's over a point every 2 games. And what's awesome about him is that he's also, he's just, in real life, he's awesome, and in fantasy, he's awesome right now. He's genuinely looking like, he's great on the offensive side of the puck, and he's really good on the defensive side of the puck as well. He had a down year last year, I think it was because of his injury, and now he's really showing. This is Matthias Samuelsson that we knew before last season. So really cool stuff from Samuelsson. And again, as as a somewhat of a Sabres fan, I root for the Sabres' success. It's really also cool to see him and Tage Thompson doing so well. Two more players that you should really check up on. One of them, probably not available because he's 77% owned in across fantasy teams on ESPN, but it's Matt Coronado of the Calgary Flames. Now, he was dropped by a lot of teams and a lot of managers because through 23 games played, he has 8 goals and 6 assists. So it's getting there, but it was really bad. Through like the first 10 games played, he had like 2 points. I even talked about it in a previous Fantasy Player Stockwatch Series video. So, yeah, I was just kind of really down on Coronado, but he's really picking it up. And the Flames are kind of proving that they might end up as the worst team in the league this season, but they're not like abysmally bad. They're just bad, but they have some spots like Coronado, who's supposed to be part of the future of this team, that are really starting to show what they're made of, right? And the last player I want to talk about here, it's on my own Chicago Blackhawks, only 10.8% owned. It's Artem Levshinov, defenseman for the Chicago Blackhawks. Through 21 games played, has 0 goals and 11 assists. He was recently talked about, I think, by NHL.com in terms of like the best rookies right now, and he's definitely in there. I don't know about top 3, but top 5, I'd say for sure. Levshinov has looked really good. He had a kind of a rocky start, first 10 games of the season, but the last 10 games or so, he's looked really awesome. He's still waiting for that first goal, but he's on that top power play unit for Chicago. It's usually pretty good. So I would go check if Artem Levshinov is available in your fantasy league, because I think that he's going to get this first goal soon, and being on that power play with Bedard, with Bertuzzi, who's cooking, and Nazar and all that, it could be really beneficial for you. But that has been the video. Thank you so much for watching. This is another volume and edition of the Fantasy Player Stockwatch series. Please go pick up any of those players that I just mentioned if they are available. I don't think you'll regret it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It would mean so much to me. And I will see you guys in that next video.